Hello, my name is Brant Hunt. My channel is simply Discerning What is True. I'm going to be reading chapter 11 of a book called Psychology and Kabbalah. The second installment tonight. Had a little problem here a little earlier. The reason why I'm reading this book is I'm very intrigued by it. Also, that Phil Langdon recommended this book. Well, he actually didn't recommend this book. He recommended this book for me to read, which I've already read quite a bit of it, but there's a lot of stuff in this particular book here. It's a lot more complicated that is in this particular book, and I like to continue to read it, but I also like to quote unquote continue to talk with Phil about it, because there's a lot of artwork here that I do not understand, and I think probably 99% of the people out there would not understand it. So I did communicate with Phil. Maybe we can meet this week. We'll see how that works out. But anyway, we're here at this point on Monday afternoon, the third day of November 2025. So I'm going to be reading the chapter here, chapter 11, Psychology and Kabbalah. And the particular writer is simply the same writer, as I said earlier, as this gentleman here, Zev, Z-E-V, Ben Shimon Halevi. It's Kabbalah Tradition of Hidden Knowledge. And there's some interesting things here, like this particular diagram here I would like to talk about a little bit more. Here where my finger is, I'd like to know what that is. I do think simply it has something to do with the three outer, three circles here, probably to do with the Trinity, but I don't know, and I'd rather ask Phil a lot more about that. So this book's a lot more deeper in different ways. Okay, so this is chapter 11, Gestation, Psychology and Kabbalah. Just bear with me as I get the recording up here. Hold on just a second here. So let me change the color here, background not being so white here, helps me to read better. Black background. I don't know why they don't use this instead of the white background. So it's called simply the Gestation, the great Kabbalistic classic, the Zohar. Let's see if we can get this thing to move down a little bit here. All right, here we go. The great Kabbalistic classic, the Zohar, which I said something to Phil about that. I thought he was talking about that, but he says no, he did not talk about that in our last installment. And he has a little problem with that, but we won't go into that. So, compiled in medieval Spain, says, at the moment when the union of the soul and the body is being affected, the Holy One sends on earth a image engraved with the divine seal. This image presides over the union of man and wife. A clear-sighted eye may see it standing at their heads. It bears a human face, and this face will be borne, B-O-R-N-E, by the man about to appear. It is this image which receives us on entering the world, which grows as we grow, and which quits the earth when we quit it. The phenomenon of presence and even an image is not uncommon at the moment of conception. Some people have described it like someone else being in the room. Others have actually seen a figure standing nearby, and still others sense something special occurred while making love, which they recall with great clarity when it is established that the woman is pregnant. In rare cases, that is, a name is presented and even the character of the person about to be incarnated. In order for this momentous moment to occur, many things have to be in the right place. Not only do the prospective parents have to be brought together in sexual union below, but the conditions for conception must be set up above in the higher worlds. This is why you got to understand simply is that why a certain time, a period of time that someone, quote unquote, has sex with either partner, okay, and then later on that partner, the woman, is pregnant. You see. So this is interesting how you think about this, okay? It is well known that the sexual intercourse at the right time of the menstrual cycle does not always produce a child, nor does contraception always prevent the male sperm from meeting the female egg. Moreover, a prolonged attempt to produce conception over many planned months is not a guarantee that it will eventually occur, although a single sexual encounter with a complete stranger has been known to get an unexpected result. This is because the timing is critical in conception and subsequently birth. Providence, which oversees the grand design, most people don't even think about this, folks. Not even me. I'm just thinking about this here. Organizes events according to the needs of the universe and the individual. Isn't that amazing? Think about that. Thus, there is a just position of considerations that takes into account the general planetary situation, the state of human society on Earth, the condition of a particular nation, the phase of a certain community, the circumstances of a specific family, and the karma of an individual. Most of these factors are part of a general pattern that is unfolding. But the closer we come to the particular, the more exacting is the timing. For example, a national revolution usually takes years to generate a sparking point, like the first shot on Lexington Green in the fight between the British and the Americans, and the person to lead the struggle, like Washington, has to be ready and at the right age. This requires considerable precision organizing his fate. Thus, a person is born at a certain time in order to deal with a certain situation, connect with a specific people, relate to peers, or marry a particular individual. A 12-year-old boy cannot wed a 90-year-old woman, even if they are soulmates, and produce a child. The sequence has to be synchronized to produce the most probable conditions. Figure 17, gestation. The process begins at conception at the crown of the tree where the world of creation, formation, and action meet. So this is what Phil was talking about, the crown at the very top, the Keter, when we talked on Thursday. From here, the psyche and new body are increasingly connected over the period of pregnancy. As can be seen, nature takes care of all the stages. As birth approaches, the embryo, that is the egg, begins to move, and the incarnating psyche dawns, as the Bible puts it, a coat of skin. During all this time, the individual may be fully aware of what is going on. Many people remember their moment of birth and some of what went on before. As far as I know, I don't remember anything of that whole thing. I don't remember nothing as far as I know, as a child, as a baby. This synchronicity, now it could be simply as I've forgotten. This synchronicity is not confined to events below in the world of action and elements. It must also occur above, in that the levels of spirit and psyche must be ready for the descent. Tradition says that first, indicated by the, quote, divine seal, end quote. The process is started from the world of imagination, which brings the essence of the person's spirit and the essence of the person's psyche together. These atoms, or seeds, as some traditions call them, are the residue experience of all previous lives, which regenerate the Bharata and the Jaskarati organisms in the same way that the physical body is manifested. At first, we are told the structure and dynamics of the spiritual and psychic vehicles are brought into contact and united. They are then held ready for gestation period while the person is prepared and briefed. More developed individuals are usually aware of what is involved and can actually recall this prenatal state after being incarnated, as they remember being, quote, somewhere, end quote, before being born and having conversations about the nature of their future life. Most people remember nothing, but experience in hypnotic regression has brought back to many people quite startling recollection. For example, some remember what it was like to be in the womb and what relationship to various members of their present family they had in former lives. Recall looking forward to being born, and others that they were quite reluctant to come. There were some who saw that they had a particular job to do in their next life, while others that they did not want to live again at all. The laws of karma, however, govern the moment of conception and incarnate. They must be under the impulse of cosmic and developmental necessity. So this is all planned out. Interesting, isn't it? The process of conception, seen Kabbalistically, is the bringing together of all the worlds and their fusion into the manifestation of a physical body for the incarnating entity. Thus, while the couple make love, so there is union between the male and female yasats of their body trees, resulting in a rising up of consciousness into the Jaya triad of awakening or ecstasy, as there is a descent of the spiritual and psychological vehicles of the individual to be incarnated. Conception occurs when it is will from Azilut, Azilut, in the place of the self, where the three lower worlds meet. Here the dot, that is knowledge, of the psyche and the yasat of the spirit come into creative contact. Then fusion on all the levels takes place, and the way it opened for the sperm to unite with the ovum. Such an event is not random selection of a seeding, but a precise orientation of conditions. Thus, while the parents, who perhaps come from totally different backgrounds, might appear to meet quite casually at a party, it is in fact a fatal coming together that would affect many lives, you see. Such events are the results of tremendous preparations to get them together at the right moment to court, marry, and conceive a particular person. Once the ovum has been fertilized, the Assyrian process, Assyrianity process of building a physical body is begun. Following the descending lightning flash sequence, the essence of a person is held at the Keter of Assyrian, which is simultaneously at the Tiferet of the psyche and Malaku of the spirit. That is the place of the self. Thus, the individual core qualities will be fused in with the physical characteristics of the parents. The process moves on down to the Hagama of the body that gives life, and then across to the Banal that determines the structure. If the process of gestation passes the critical point of Da, that is the abyss of the body tree, and the momentum of incarnation is not withdrawn, as sometimes happens for various reasons, then the genetic procedures continue in the expansion of Hesed, in the multiplication of cells, and the differentiation in Javra. The essence of the body and the base of the psyche are established in Tiferet of the body that later becomes the central nervous system, which serves physical consciousness. The process is then is then continued at the various psychal system are built in and tuned into the data procedures of Had. At various Nezareth psychosystems are built in. Examples of this are blood circulation and the adjustment of the sugar. I'm trying to see if I could show this to you, if I can find it, but I don't see it right now. Let's see if this is it here. We'll look at that a little later. All right, so examples of these are blood circulation, adjustment of the sugar, balance according to needs. The three triads around the autonomic system of the body decide manifests as the organs, nerves, and muscles. The creative impulse finally resolves in the Makukan level of the bones that support the baby and the skin with its sense organs that gives access to the external world of physicality. The process of gestation is complex as the four elements of fire, air, water, and earth are blended to the levels of mind, electronics, chemistry, and mechanics. These mirror the four worlds in the body. So too are the interactions of the pillars of structure and dynamic on the vertical axis of consciousness. The various stages of gestation, moreover, repeat the pattern of manifestation, but in miniature, as the atom of eternity emerges out of the energy of creation to take on a form and then substance. All the experience of existence goes into the gestation of the body, as every creature that has been brought forth and present in the embryo. This is seen in the way it passes through the various stages of evolution. First, it looks like a primitive plant, then a simple animal. Later, it takes on the forms of a fish, a reptile, and a mammal before finally developing into a human embryo. During the period of gestation, as the various higher vehicles of the psyche and spirit are gradually brought into alignment with the body, the consciousness of the person about to be incarnated hovers about the embryo. Wow. At first, the relationship is quite flexible, which is one reason why miscarriages can occur almost without noticing. Later, as the psyche begins to fuse into the physical organism, the bond grows stronger. Some people dimly recall this period, and many under hypnosis remember quite clearly floating around in their mother, fully aware of their own and her feelings about the coming birth. Most people are pleased to make the association, but others, it has been noted, would rather not and retreat. This can lead to spontaneous abortions or Down syndrome children who, in wishing to remain discarnated, retard the normal process of gestation at the genetic level. I wonder why these things happen. This is what, yeah, this is, or either, what's it called? A stillborn also? I don't. My mom had a stillborn before me. Interesting. The same may also be said of autistic children who almost complete the process but have not quite come into full incarnation, and will be realized, gestation is a highly critical period when the new body is at the most vulnerable and therefore susceptible to influences coming from both the incarnating individual and the mother. Thus what she thinks, feels, and does physically and psychologically can affect the child. This is why many pregnant women go into a deeply cocoon state and lose all interest in anything but their baby. It is a natural and psychological protection designed to shield the growing fetus from unhelpful influences before its birth. The timing of birth is as critical as conception. Many doctors see the process of pregnancy in terms of a standard model, but the moment of birth is not like that. To be born too early or too late is clinically abstraction. A person is born at the most propitious time for that individual to enter the physical world, and providence is not about using the medical profession as an instrument to get an individual in on the dot. Okay? There's no such thing as a premature or late birth when seen at its first invitation of fate. The way an individual emerges in the world is of great significance. And so this makes sense to me completely. So let me explain a little bit about myself. Just because this makes some things clear to me already, seeing this. I was a late baby. Okay. I was a big baby too, 10 pounds and 3 ounces. Or 10 pounds and 1 or 10 pounds and 3. That's a big baby back then. My mom definitely told me simply she went through a lot of pain to have me. And back then, I don't think they had all the magic pills or whatever to, take away a lot of pain. But I was late. Now, that seems late to the doctor, but according to God's infinite wisdom, in a way, it meant, no, I came in at the right time. That's what it's about. Okay, I came out of my mom's womb at the right time. And you say, well, what do you mean? Because doctors don't know what God is doing, how this is all designed. Now, that's just all this part what is shared here makes sense. It's also like think about what a mother does. It is natural and psychological protection designed to shield the growing fetus from unhelpful influence before its birth. It's to have a positive attitude, so to speak. I don't know. My mom never shared any of those things with me, so I don't know that. But anyway, let's continue on. So that's actually the last part of the chapter there, chapter 11. Okay, so this gives the idea simply is that each child that comes into this world, there's reason for certain things. So there's no, what he's saying here is very clear. There's no premature and there's no late babies. It's done by design on how the Creator God is about this whole thing. It's part of his timetable. Okay, so we're going to stop at this point. And I think I've done 3 or 4 chapters a day, so I'm probably this will be my last tonight. Let's see what we got here. Let's get back over here. And let's go back over here. So anyway, I shared some things simply is that I wanted to share about this whole apparatus that goes on. This is very encouraging and also interesting how this book, Psychology and Kabbalah, is wrapped up. People don't come here by accident. And there's a point he says simply is that the baby simply drops out. In other words, it's not going to incarnate at all. And we don't know what that reason is, but it simply is it doesn't happen. Okay, so thank you for listening tonight, Discerning What Is True. Again, this book is simply called chapter 11, with gestation. Again, this is Psychology and Kabbalah. And thank you for listening. Have a good evening.